don't know if you know anything about beef, but beef is grated, right? And based on the quality of the beef, it's graded. Well, choice is what most people buy in the grocery store. And there's multiple layers of choice. Like choice beef from Costco is better than choice beef from Albertsons, okay? But Costco also sells prime. And they used to sell the prime in blue packaging, right? So that you could see, okay, this is the prime, this is the regular, right? So people didn't get it confused. And so I was talking to him, and I said, what color was the packaging that you bought the steaks in? He goes, oh, I think it was blue. I said, it wasn't you, bro. It wasn't you, it was the steaks. He goes, no, come on. I'm like, no, trust me. I said, you go back, buy steaks out of the white, go home, cook them, and tell me if they're as good as the last ones you made. Okay, I will. So he did. He calls me a week or two later. He goes, you're right. It was the steaks. My point is this, is sometimes it's a very little thing that makes a difference in the kitchen, right? Like if you can use really fresh ingredients and really high quality ingredients to make something, it doesn't need a lot of attention, right? If you know how to cook a steak right, it comes out really good, but the better the steak, the better it turns out. And that's a simple little thing, but it's true. Like I love rosemary in my chicken soup. Okay, I make chicken soup and I grow rosemary, and I'm telling you, I go out to my garden, I'll cut a long sprig of rosemary, and I'll just throw the whole sprig in with my chicken soup while it's simmering, and I'm telling you, it just bumps it up. And when I got fresh thyme and fresh rosemary, and they go, it's like, oh, wow, right? It's just simple little things that make things better. And can I tell you that a lot of times people want something big to happen in life. They want something to succeed. They want to be the best steak cooker on the planet. And they forget that it's not really the big thing that they need to pursue. It's the little thing they need to pursue. And I'm going to tell you that if you're going to go from victim to victor, we all want that big breakthrough moment, right? All of a sudden the lights come on, the blinders come off. You just step into a new level of living and whoo, everything's different. But I want to tell you, don't look for the big thing. Because victory is found in the small things. It's found in the small things. And you need to realize that throughout our Bibles tell us that the little things matter. They matter. Luke tells us here that he who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. Can I tell you, there's a priority, there's an order. So many people try to be faithful in much, and they haven't been faithful in little. Right? It's funny, where we live, if we drive into the city, we drive by one of the lottery billboards, right? And anybody drive by a little lottery billboard? Anybody? Right? And right now, I don't know, like one of the lotteries is like 400,000, another one is like 400 million, another one's like 600 million right now. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? And people are like, oh, I'm going to buy my ticket for the big, right? But can I tell you, if you broke, busted, and disgusted right now, you're going to get that money, and not going to be very long, you're going to be broker. I mean, I know broker's not a word, but you go and you look and read the stories of people who didn't have money, who all of a sudden came into huge amounts of money, and how long it takes them to be in worse financial situation than they were in the beginning. Why? Because they didn't know how to be faithful with a little, and then they get much and they can't keep it because they don't have faithful in the little. And I'm going to tell you, if you're going to live a life of victory, you got to learn to be faithful in the little. And faithful, really, the word faithful here, it's really pretty simple. It's not a complicated word, right? Faithful means to be devoted. It means to be steadfast, right? It means to keep going, to keep doing something, right? That's what faithfulness is. And we are commanded really to be faithful in the little things. Because the small things will propel you to the big things, but if you get the big things and you haven't been faithful to the small things, you will lose the big things. Thank you. I'll pay you later, babe. In fact, Zechariah 4:10 tells us not to despise small beginnings, right? Everybody wants a big beginning. They want to burst onto the scene. But Zechariah says, don't despise small beginnings. You know what? I look at it this way. Small beginnings, little things. Don't despise the little things. Don't despise them. And too many times people despise the little things. They look over the little things, and they never enter into the big things. I would tell you this, that the greatest life change happens when you're focused on the smallest of things. The greatest life change happens when you're focused on the smallest of things. The small changes in our lives that we think are inconsequential actually produce some of the biggest results that we want to see. You're looking at me like a cow at a new gate this morning. Let me prove it to you, right? Can we put a, you know what, I'm going to skip over that. Let's just go here. Can I give you a few examples? Can I give you a few examples? Small things producing big results. Okay? Small things producing big results. Did you know that if you would take $100 a month and invest $100 a month in an S&P 500 index fund? I know some of you don't even know what I'm talking about, okay? But $100 a month in an S&P mutual fund, S&P 500 mutual fund. And you just put $100 in this month, and then next month you put $100 in, and the month after that you put $100 in, and the month after that you put $100 in, and you did that consistently for 40 years. Being faithful in the little things. Do you realize that at the end of that 40 years, you have $1,176,477? If you take the average performance of the S&P 500? At $25 a week, actually it's less than $25 a week. See, it's the little things that compound and make a big difference. I've beat this stuff into my kids' heads. I'm like, you're young, invest like mad right now. Right? Because if they invest when they're young, see, like Zach's got 40 years. So if he does, you're right, you don't. Okay? But, you know what? Problem is, most people go out and have that time, so I'm not going to do anything. No, do something. Right? Lest you do nothing. Zach's got 40 years. So go, baby, go. Right? Because I'm going to spend it. Whatever, not yours, mine. Dr. Peter Attia says this. He says, moderate exercise 3 hours a week. Moderate exercise 3 hours a week will cause you to outlive 90% of your peers. 3 hours of moderate exercise. That's not even the intense stuff. You know, we all think we need to get to Peloton and sweat like crazy people. You don't need to do that. Go for a walk. 3 hours a week. You'll outlive 90% of your peers. In fact, Dr. James, okay, you're going to have to help me out. This guy's name's like 6 miles long. Dr. James Dina Colantonio, okay? He says this. He says, if you're over 60 years old, walking 6,000 to 8,000 steps per day, cuts your risk of dying prematurely in half. In half. It's the little things. Let me show you another one. If you overeat by 100 calories a day, okay, 100 calories, that's not very much, right? That's like 10 peanuts, okay? If you overeat by 10 calories a day, you'll gain 10.5 pounds in a year. Oh, hallelujah, Pastor. But I'll put you this way. If you undereat 100 calories a day, you'll lose 10.5 pounds in a year. See, it's the little things that yield big results. But we don't want to focus on the big things. We want to focus on the big things. We don't want to think about the little ones, right? Can I give you one more? Peter Bregman, okay? This guy wrote a book called The 18-Minute Rule. And he did research and he discovered that if you practice any skill 18 minutes a day, that within a year, you'll be better than 95% of the people on the planet at that thing. You know what that means? 18 minutes a day and a year, you would be one of the top 5% piano players. No pressure, but I'm just saying. You'd be in the top 5% of the world if you just practice your skill. And that applies to any of us in any area, right? You might want to take after Tom Mater and become the world's best backwards driver. Well, it only takes 18 minutes a day. Drive backwards 18 minutes a day. A year from now, you'll be the best. Did you get my point? See, we have to realize that little changes or little things done consistently have the ability to dynamically transform our lives. It's the little things. It's the little things. Those little things that we don't think are a big deal have the ability to literally transform our lives. The little things. Well, Pastor, I got up this morning and I read my Bible for 3 minutes. Good. Do that every day of the year. See where you're at in a year. Pastor, I decided that I am going to read a chapter a day in a book. I was telling Janet yesterday, we stepped out of the gym yesterday morning, and when I go to the gym, I put my earbuds in and I listen to the Craig Rochelle Leadership Podcast. And I told Janet, I said, I want to read every one of his books. But man, if I could get everything that Craig Rochelle knows about leadership and get it into me, it's like, wow, that would change. The guy's written like 12 books by now. It's like, it's ridiculous. He just came out with another brand new one. But here's the deal. You know what? A chapter a day. It wouldn't be long, and I've read all of his books. And all of a sudden, maybe I'm a better leader. You know, maybe you struggle as a parent. Well, why don't you pick up some parenting books? Right? Read a chapter a day. See where you end up. It's the little things. But we want the big things. We want the big... Maybe your house is a mess. Right? Well, how about you clean up one little piece? Right? I only bring this up because I went into our closet yesterday and I'm like, there's too much stuff in here, right? And I'm not blaming Janet, okay? Because my shoes are spilling out because I got a shoe problem, okay? Amen. I have more Adidas sneakers than anybody should have because I love Adidas sneakers. It's crazy. And I see a pair that I don't have, and I'm like, I like those. I like those. I just bought a pair when we were in Arizona celebrating my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. I walked into the Adidas store, and I walked out with 3 pairs of new Adidas. A pair to work out in, which they're super comfortable. Like I wish I had 2 or 3 pairs of those now. It's kind of probably crazy. And then I also a couple of pairs of sneakers, and there's one pair of sneakers. The trim on them was green. It didn't have the actual stripes. The stripes were little holes, right? You know, 3 stripes, you know what I'm talking about? 3 stripes, they were holes. But on the back, there's a little green trim here, little green trim on it. I thought, oh, these are cool. I like these. Right, so I had to have them. Right? And the great thing about shoes, it doesn't matter what size you are, they fit. Because I got stuff in my closet, right? Anybody got faith clothes in their closet? I have faith clothes in my closet, stuff that I bought that I couldn't fit into when I bought it, believing that I'm going to get skinny enough to wear it. It's called faith clothes, right? You know what's really funny? Actually, I will just tell you, Mike, that I had a drawer full of pants that I haven't been able to wear in several years. And I pulled them out and I started trying them on. There's like 7 pairs in there. They all fit. And they hadn't fit before. So, Mike, I love you, man. But it's the little things, right? That make a difference. The little things that we do that lead us to victory that we don't think really matter. But if we'd apply ourselves to them, over time, those things would compound and we would see a difference from it. And somewhere in there, I was telling a story and I got off and now I can't remember what it was. So you all just have to forgive me. Next verse, Song of Solomon 2:15. Song of Solomon 2:15. It says, catch us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. Can I tell you, the Song of Solomon it's actually considered the most erotic book of the Bible because it's all about marriage and sex. Okay? Now, don't all rush home and go read it because of that. But here's the deal. These verses here in Solomon 2:15, it's talking about things, little things that you allow into your marriage, right? That'll eat your grapes. Or to put it another way, little things that you just put up with in your marriage, little things that you tolerate, little things that you don't address, little things that you don't give attention to, that'll come in and ruin what you have. Okay, of course, the imagery here is imagine you are a vineyard owner and you have this vineyard, right? And it's springtime and the grapes, the blooms have passed and the grapes are starting to show and the little foxes are coming in and eating the fruit off the vines. What would you do if you saw that happen? You'd be killing some foxes. Right? You'd have some fox pelts lined up in your barn. Right? That's what you would do. You would take care of it. But you know what happens? A lot of people, there's little foxes coming in and messing with their life, and they just let them eat away. Have all the grapes you want. I'm not worried about having a harvest. And then you wonder, why is it I can't step from victim to victor? It's because you know there's little things that you need to deal with, and you won't deal with them, and because you won't deal with them, you'll never step into victory. You'll continue to live as a victim. That is the picture that we get here. You know what it's called? It's called the sin of omission. And so we get all hung up on the sin of commission. The sin of commission is this. You know you shouldn't do it, and you do it anyway. It's those moments, right, where somebody does something to you, and you're like, well, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. I see them, I'll give them a piece of their mind. And you see them, and you give them a piece of your mind. Now, you know you shouldn't do it, because somewhere in the whole process, going, I need to tell them off. I need to, right? You get this thought, I shouldn't do that. And then you do it anyway. It's a sin of commission. The sin of commission is when you know something is a sin, and you're like, I'm doing it anyway. You know, the Bible says not to be drunk. Right? But it's Friday night. I deserve this. So I'm doing it anyway. So someone goes and does it. That's the sin of commission. The sin of omission is this. The sin of omission is you know there's something that you should do, and you don't do it. There's something that you know that you should do. There's a responsibility that you have. There's something the Lord has impressed upon your heart. There's something that you know that you should be doing, and you're like, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to do it. And so you don't do it. And because you don't do it, you hold yourself as a victim instead of a victor. Okay? You can't ignore the little things that you know that you're supposed to be doing. Can I tell you, everyone in this room, myself included, have an area where you need victory. You have an area where you need victory. And that victory is on the other side of doing what you know you're supposed to do. And staying in the sin of omission just keeps pushing it out and pushing it out and pushing it out. In fact, the Lord may have even spoken to you about it. But you're like, You know, I gotta tell you, there's a season in my life I had a struggle. Okay? I had this struggle. And I kept telling the Lord, would you just take it away? I'm tired of messing up in this area. I'm tired of always having to come in and go, Lord, oops, I did it again, right? To quote Britney Spears, right? It is Britney Spears, right? Yeah. Oops, I did it again. Yeah, right? Anyway, and so you're never going to get that image out of your head, right? I'm so sorry. Anyway. And I was praying, I'm like, Lord, would you just, I'm sick of this. Just deal with it. And he goes, well, why don't you deal with that? And my response was, that's not my problem, Lord. This is my problem. So I'd go on my way. God doesn't listen to me, not helping me. He just wants me to fix that other thing and that other. This is my problem. Oops, I did it again. God, would you just help me? I don't want to do that. That change. Would you deal with that? Oh, Lord, that's not my problem. This is my problem. Years. Oops, I did it again. Finally, one day, he goes, would you just deal with this? I'm like, fine. Whatever, God. I dealt with that. That went away. See, this seemed unimportant. It seemed small. It seemed inconsequential in the grand scheme of this. And this changed it all. So the Lord may be dealing with you about doing something small that you don't think is a big deal. Trust me, it's a big deal. When the Lord points something out to you that you think is inconsequential, it's a big deal. When he asks you to forgive that person, all of a sudden you do, and something shifts in your life and something changes. He tells you, you know what, give up that bitterness. Boom, something changes. Go ask that person for forgiveness. Buy that guy's lunch. Little things that don't seem like they're a big deal, but they carry very big ramifications. So we got to learn to stop committing the sin of omission. Stop ignoring the little things that the Lord deals with us about to do. Anybody ever heard of David? Right? You know David? David, the guy that killed Goliath with a slingshot? David, who became king of Israel. David, who slept with Bathsheba, conceived a child, and then had her husband murdered to cover up his tracks. That guy, King David. Did you know it wasn't him sleeping with Bathsheba that messed him up? The sin of commission. The reason why David messed up was the sin of omission. It was the sin of omission. Go to Samuel 11, 1 through 5. You guys put that up? I want you to see this. Here we go. Nope, that's not right. 2 Samuel, not 1 Samuel. 2 Samuel 11. There we go. It happened in the spring of the year, at the time when kings go out to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the people of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David remained at Jerusalem. Next. Then it happened one evening that David arose from his bed and walked on the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful to behold. So David sent and inquired about the woman, and someone said, is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? Then David sent messengers and took her, and she came to him, and he lay with her. You know what that means? For she was cleansed from her impurity, and she returned to her house. And the woman conceived, so she sent and told David and said, I'm with child. Can we go back to verse 1? See, we all get hung up on the sin of commission that David had. Went up on his roof, and I say, a lot of sins of commission. Okay, the king's palace sat up above everything else. Okay, in that day and age, you bathed on your rooftop. It was a place of privacy. David knew going up on his rooftop he was going to see something. Because his rooftop looked down on everybody else's. Okay? We think, oh, sin of commission, right? He made a lot of mistakes along the way. But this is where it started. It happened in the spring of the year at the time when kings go out to battle that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the people of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David remained at Jerusalem. Where was David supposed to be? At battle. Sin of omission. He didn't do what he knew he was supposed to do. He didn't do what he knew he was supposed to do. My troops are awesome. They're mighty in valor. I've trained these guys, my mighty men. They'll go take care of it. I'm just going to stay here. He neglected, may not seem like a real little thing, but it was. Because really, you expected David to actually go out to battle and fight? No, he'd be in the battlefield. But he wouldn't actually be warring as a king. His troops would be warring as a king. Right? So they'd be at war, but he would be with them. All he simply had to do was go be with them, right? But because he committed the sin of omission, he was in a position to commit the sin of commission. Can I tell you, we have got to realize that, you know what? When we know that we're supposed to do something, we should do it. We should do it. And did you love your pastor this morning? Well, if you don't, I'm saying it anyway. Can I tell you? Church is good for you. Church is good for you. And I would say that whether I was pastor or not. I've been in church every Sunday, minus maybe five, in 35 years. You can ask my children. We will go on vacation, and I would drag them to church on vacation. My kids have asked me, why do we go to church all the time? Is it because you're a pastor? And I said, no, we would go to church all the time, even if I wasn't a pastor. Because this is what you do. Because the church is good for us. Right? A lot of things happen in church. One, we sit under the Word. And the Word changes us and transforms us. We get to enter into worship with our fellow believers, and we get to encounter the presence of God together. We get to do life side by side with people. Right? We get to build friendships and relationships that will be there when you need them. Church is good for us. And can I tell you, church wasn't, it's funny, people like say, well, church was it's a Christian idea, and Christian, it's part of the Christian religion. No, Jesus was Jesus' idea. Jesus said he would build his church and the gates of hell would not prevail against it. See, the problem with a lot of people, hell's prevailing in their life, it's because they're not a part of what Jesus said he would build. Can I tell you? Oh, I'm on it. Can I tell you the overwhelming majority of the verses that you see in the New Testament that we all like to claim for ourselves weren't written to you as an individual. They were written to us as the church. And we want to claim them to us as individuals, but they weren't written to individuals. They were written to churches. So what if you go back to the early church, the book of Acts, The only way you got that message that we like now to grab a hold of, and I'm standing on this promise, Pastor. Well, the only way you would have ever stood on that promise back in the book of Acts is if you were in the church when the letter showed up. Just saying. See, we know that church is good for us. We know we should be in church, but we commit the sin of omission. And we make church optional. Okay, and I love you, church. I get it. There are times you got stuff going on. There's drama. I get it. You have a kid that's sick. Maybe you're sick. I understand. There's legitimate reasons to miss church. Please take a vacation. Right? That's a legitimate reason to miss church. You should take time. But vacation isn't 26 weeks a year. You know, in America, people who say they are faithful church attenders go 1.3 times a month. What did you miss? The 2.7. Right? And there's no condemnation in this, okay? I'm just trying to bring this up to another level, right? If we commit the sin of omission, or in other words, we neglect something that we know that we should do, it opens us up to the sin of commission. Can I tell you? You're a lot less apt to be clubbing till 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night if you know you're going to be at church 9:45 on a Sunday morning. I say 9:45 because you should be early to church, not late, right? There's an old saying, on time is late, early is on time. See, it's the sin of omission that opens us up to the sin of commission. And I'll put it this way, you're not living in victory because you're not doing the things that you know that you should do to get yourself to victory because they're small and you think they're inconsequential. But I'm here to tell you those small things make all the difference in the world. 100 calories a day and you lose 10.5 pounds. Right? We have to think about these things. $25 a week. And you secure your financial future. It's little things. They're not big, right? I know people spend $25 a week on coffee. I used to be one. I had a bad habit. And then I started making it at home, and I started drinking black coffee at home. And black coffee is the cheapest coffee. In my opinion, it's the best coffee. But I wonder how would our lives transform if we just made the little things of God a priority in our life. Just made them a priority. I said, you know what? It's 2 hours on a Sunday morning. I'm going to be in church on Sunday morning. And just see what God does in my life. Just see how I change and transform. Right? It's a little thing. It's turning the radio from your favorite rock station to maybe putting some worship music on in the car, right? And trust me, I am not against rock music because I grew up in the 80s, and we have the best music ever. So good. Right? My son likes a lot of the music I liked. Can I tell you, one of the little foxes that you have got to capture and kill if you're ever going to live a life of victory? You have got to kill the replay in your head of the thing that happened to you one time. And I learned this myself because there are some traumatic things that I lived through when I was a child. And some of them happened one time. And then I spent decades replaying it. You know what you're doing? You're re-victimizing yourself. Man, how painful to wake up 25 years after it happened and realize I'm still playing the loop in my head and it's still affecting me like it happened yesterday and it happened 25 years ago. See, we gotta grab a hold of those thoughts. We talked about our thought life last week. We gotta grab a hold and say, you know what? No, you're done. I'm serving you notice. You're getting evicted. You're not allowed in my head anymore. It's time for you to go. And when it shows up again, you say, no. Shut up. Get out of my head. When it shows up again, no. You don't belong here. Shut up. Get out of my head. The word tells us whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, think on these things. In other words, you can set your mind on the things that you want to think on. I used to do this with Emily when she was little. She's little, and there's a season where she would have nightmares. And so we would take her up and we'd tuck her into bed. A little while, Daddy, I can't sleep, Daddy. Right? It's pretty close. And I'd go up. I'd sit with her and go, what's wrong, baby? I'm scared. I'm like, okay, here. Tell me, where's your favorite place to be? She'd go, I love the beach, Daddy. What's it look like, sweetie? Oh, wow, and the sand's out there, and there's the logs, and there's like the fire that we'd build on the beach, and I can see the waves crashing in, and I can see the sand dollars we would go collect. What was I doing? I was helping her take her mind off the thing that was keeping her from going to sleep and helping her shift her mind to things that are good. And she would, and I'd say, okay, you just keep there. You keep thinking about us going to the beach as a family. You just keep thinking about it, right? And she'd lay there. She's asleep. Right? I was going to snore, but she didn't snore. She would fall asleep. Why? Because she's no longer consumed with that thought. And see, we got to have the wisdom to take those little things and say, you know what? You don't have a right here anymore. I'm going to take you captive, and I'm kicking you out. Here's your eviction notice, right? You are gone. You are gone. And you know what? If you're here this morning, you'd say, you know what? I need to create, like last week. Remember last week I showed you that line, right? Remember we talked about your thoughts, and your thoughts form your choices. I still got another minute, Zach, but you're welcome to go up and be patient. Go ahead. So you can go up. You can go up and be patient. It's fine. I'm going to land the plane at some time. We talked about thoughts lead to choices, and choices lead to habits, right? Habits form your character, and your character forms your end result. We talked about that, okay? Right now, we're jumping from the thoughts to the habits. And how do we change or make new habits? And our tendency is we want something big to happen. And so we say things like, I am going to read my Bible 3 chapters every day. Right? Or we go, I'm going to go get one of those 300 Bibles in 365 days a year and read the whole Bible cover to cover in a year. I'm going to do it. Can I tell you, I have never read my whole Bible in a year, cover to cover, because I get stuck. I hit a verse, and I'm like, there, I chew on it for a long time. But here's what we do, is we make these big, grandiose plans. I'm going to do 3 chapters a day. Can I tell you it's too much? If you don't have the habit. You know what I would tell you to do? You're here and you're like, I need to make a new habit. I need to start reading my Bible every day. And this applies to anything that you want to form in your life, okay? If there's, like, I think I've talked about this. Flossers. Any flossers in the house? You floss your teeth, right? Okay. Well, the whole world is full of non-flossers. And can I tell you, it's the little things. Did you realize that they've discovered that plaque on your teeth is actually equated to plaque in your arteries? So flossing your teeth and dealing with the plaque on your teeth actually affects the plaque that's in your arteries, because it's the little things that matter, right? And so anyway, You want to become a flosser. You know what I tell people? Don't decide you're going to floss your whole mouth every day. Floss one tooth. No, I'm serious. Go to the store, go to the dental floss aisle, get the little bag of the green picks with the little tiny piece of floss on it like that, right? Get those, and for 21 days, floss one tooth. Every day, whether you do it in the morning, whether you do it at night, get that flosser, throw it in the garbage. Floss one tooth. Pastor, that's stupid. No, it's not. Because what you're doing, you're working on cultivating a new habit. And if you haven't flossed your teeth, okay, this is what happens. Floss all my teeth. And then one night, you crawl into bed, and you didn't floss all your teeth. You didn't floss any of your teeth. And you're thinking, I would get up and floss my teeth, but I'm tired, and that's going to take like 3 minutes. I'm not doing it. But if all you have to do is get out of bed, grab a pick, go, throw it in the garbage, and go back to bed, you'll do it. Because it's so simple, you can't fail. And it sounds ridiculous, but you know what happens? Then you go, okay, I'll quit. And over those 21 days, you'll start to move, and the next thing you know, you're flossing all your teeth. But you started with just one. If you're here and you're like, I need to start the habit of reading my Bible, can I tell you to do something? Go to the App Store and look up a YouVersion of the Bible. It's actually produced by a church, Life Church. Pastor Craig Rochelle's church created this, the YouVersion of the Bible. You know what you can do? You can go to the YouVersion of the Bible. You can create a logon. They're not going to send stuff to you. They're not going to market stuff to you. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. But you can set yourself up so that the YouVersion of the Bible sends you a text message with one verse every day. And you can tell it, I want it at 6 o'clock in the morning. I want it at 7 o'clock at night. I want it at lunchtime. You can tell it when to show up. Well, Pastor, that seems... Can I tell you? In a year, you've now read 365 verses, and this year, you've read none. And what's really great is they'll pick verses that are promises and are good and encourage you and build you up, and some will challenge you. And every day it'll be a different verse from a different part of the Bible. But in a year, you've read 365 verses, one verse at a time, and you didn't have to do anything except pick up your phone and look at the text message. See, if you're trying to cultivate new habits, I call them micro habits. You want to make micro habits, habits that are so small that anybody could do it. Anybody could do it. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. How about you walk from your bedroom to your living room? You think it's silly? I sit in my den. Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, unless I have appointments, I got to be places. Tuesdays, I'm always here. And I look out my front window because my desk is right in front of the window. I look out the window every single Sunday. I'm watching out every single day. I'm looking around, and there's 2 houses down. There's a kid, and he's a little bit autistic. But you know what happens? Multiple times a day, he walks past my house, right? And he gets to my neighbor's house, and he crosses the street, and then he comes back. And then he goes into his house. A couple hours later, here he comes. Turns around. I see it. He'll do it 4 or 5 times a day. You know what I think his parents said? You're not going to sit here all day. You need to get up and go for a walk at least a couple of times a day. So he takes these little micro walks. You know what? I don't know how many steps he gets on the micro walks, but you know what? If you're not working out, maybe you just need to get up and walk out to the end of the block, cross the street, come back around across the street, get to your house, go in your front door and go, hey, look what I just did. Create the micro habit of where you need to be. Matthew 25:21, and then I'll be done. Out of the Amplified Classic, it says, his master said to him, well done, you upright, honorable, admirable, and faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of much. Enter into and share the joy of the Lord. The the blessedness which your master enjoys. Proverbs 28:20 says this, a faithful man will abound with blessings. I want to end here because I want you to know, if you'll start making little movements, God will work with you. He'll start changing things. He'll start transforming things. You'll start making progress faster and faster and faster. And you'll wonder a year from now, how did I get here? What happened is you started to do the little things, and all of a sudden, God just starts multiplying them, and things get better and better and better and better and better. Because that's our God. Never forget when Janet and I did Dave Ramsey the first time, because we had to do it twice. It's a little slow on the uptake. Never doing it again. Love Dave Ramsey, but I'm not doing his program again because I'm never going to get in that mess again. First time we did Dave Ramsey, it was painful. We had to tell friends, after church, don't ask us to go to lunch because we're not going, because we're staying out of restaurants. Because Dave says stay out of restaurants, so we're staying out of restaurants. We're not going to restaurants. And like the third week, people stopped asking us to go to lunch, and I cried in the car on the way home. It was very painful. Okay, because nobody asked us. Well, he's wanted to be asked. Nobody asked me. It was terrible. But we started doing little things like, you know what, we're not going to go to lunch. We're not going to do this. Not going to do that. We started doing those little things. And you know what happened? We focused on the little things and getting our finances together. And we'd have people come up and slip us a $100 bill. The Lord told me to give this to you. We had this one guy, he got bonuses at work, and the bonuses came in Target gift cards. And he came to us one time. He said, you know what? I just got my bonus in Target gift cards, and the Lord told me to give it to you. Like, what? This is a long, long time ago. Can I tell you, my wife spent it. Right? Those Target gift cards, ka-chow. What was that? That was the Lord working with us. When we were doing the little things that we knew that we could do, that he came alongside and he catapulted us forward, right? He started to give us much so that we could walk free. So I'm not going to have you bow your heads or anything this morning, but you're here this morning, you'd say, you know what? I need to attack some little things, and I know this morning I need to do that. I just want you to stand up. You're here this morning, there's some little things you know you need to do. I'm not going to ask twice. Can I tell you, I'm standing with you. I'm always going after little things in my life. Father, right now in the name of Jesus, Father, I just pray for every single person that's standing, God. I thank you that you are helping us deal with those little things. Father God, for those that are crying out and saying, God, this is the problem, and you keep redirecting them like you redirected me, Father, I pray that you would give them boldness to just obey and do what you say. And Father God, I thank you that even this week, as they start to cultivate new habits, God, they see a return. They see things start to change. God, they see things breaking off. They see attitudes changing. God, they feel victory surging into their life. Father, I thank you for boldness to go after those little things. And Father, I declare us as a church changed and transformed. God, we're not going to be a victim in any area. We're going to walk in victory in every area because that's what you have for us. And Father, I thank you. As they're faithful, God, they enter into that John 10:10 abundant life. God, that victory overtakes them in every single area. I call the captives free, liberated in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name.